Hello students, welcome to the next module. Today we'll start with question number 19 of exercise 5.1. We are given a function x is equal to x minus box x and we have to prove it that it is discontinuous at all integers where box x is greatest integer less than or equal to x. Let us understand what we mean by the greatest integer function. For example, I have a function. This is represented as box, right? I have a value inside this box as 2.1, right? Now this is the greatest integer function, that is box of this particular value will take the final value as a value of the integer lesser than this. Lesser than this means it will take a value 2, right? We know 2 is an integer. 2.1 box of 2.1 will take a value of 2. That is, it will take an integer value just less than 2.1, right? If this function would have been 1.9, right? Again, it would have taken the value of the integer less than 1.9, right? So it would have been 1. Since it states that box x is greatest integer function which takes a value less than or equal to x, right? Less than or equal to. Had it been box of 2, the value of this greatest integer function would have been 2 because it can take an integer value either less than or equal to 2, right? So 1.9 as such, the integer value would be 1. Right? So 1.9 is not an integer value, a whole value, right? So 1.9, box of 1.9 will take a value just less than 1.9, which is 1. Likewise 2.1, although there is not much of difference between 2.1 and 1.9, but its greatest integer value would be 2. Likewise, if I take 2, it will be 2, right? Had it been 0.99, its greatest integer value would have been lesser than 0.99. Which integer is it? It is 0 because 0.99 lies between 0 and 1. If we plot a number line, 0.99 will lie between 0 and 1. So obviously box of 0.99 will take a value that is equal to 0, lesser than 0.99. Had it been 1.01, this would have taken a value 1. That is 1.01 is greater than 1, or we can say 1 is lesser than 1.01 and it is an integer value, or we can say 1.01 lies between 1 and 2. So its greatest integer value would be 1, right? So I hope greatest integer functions are clear. Now how are we going to prove its discontinuity at all integers, right? So let C be any integer value and we'll be checking it out for one value, so it will prove for all the other integer values as well, right? So we start with the left hand limit, that is limit x tends to c negative fx. Our function is x minus box of x, so this is limit x tends to c negative. So that's x minus box of x, right? So this is x minus, or I can write this as c, right? Instead of x, I can write c because I have taken the limit as tending towards c negative. That is just less than c. So replacing x with c minus box of c. Now as I have told you that this box of c will take a value that is just less than c, right? So this is c minus c minus 1, okay? Because as we were discussing about 1.9, what did 1.9 do? It took a value lesser than 1.9, right? And which integer value was that? It was 1. So likewise, we'll take a value that is just less by 1 approximately. So this is c minus c plus 1, which is equal to 1, right? Likewise, the right hand limit. Limit x tends to c positive. Fx is equal to limit x tends to c positive, x minus box of x. Now, if I replace this, c minus box of c, right? So let this be c. Now, since x is taking values that is just greater than c, right? So if it would have been, for example, अगर x यहाँ पे होता, x tends to 0, right? So we would have taken 0 positive, means values greater than 0. We can take approximately 0.99. And in this case, box x would have been what? It would have been 0, right? So here I can take c minus c, because this c would take values greater than c, and its greatest integer value would be what? It would be equal to c, and this is equal to 0. For example, let's greater than 0, right? So here we'll be taking value like, let's take it as 1, right? So if I take it as 1, here the value will remain the same. So we have c minus c, and this is equal to 0 in this particular case, right? So we have limit x tends to c positive fx. This is our box function. So what can we infer? The left hand limit is not equal to the right hand limit. Therefore, function is discontinuous at all integers, right? Let's take it for 1. Okay, so this is how we are going to prove it, right? I hope it's clear to you, students. Moving on to question number 20. Is the function fx equal to x square minus sin x plus 5 continuous at x is equal to pi? Let's prove this. So we have x is equal to pi is our point where we have to find out the continuity or the discontinuity. Let's begin with the left hand limit. So we have limit x tends to pi negative fx. This is limit x tends to pi negative x square minus sin x plus 5, right? Replace the values. So we have pi square minus sin pi plus 5. So this is pi square minus 0 plus 5, which is pi square plus 5. Likewise, let's check it for the right hand limit. So limit x tends to pi positive fx. This is limit x tends to pi positive x square minus sin x plus 5. So that's pi square minus sine of pi plus 5. Again, that's pi square plus 5, right? And again, at x equal to pi, we have the function, same function, pi square minus sine pi plus 5, which is pi square plus 5. So what can we infer? The left hand limit is equal to right hand limit is equal to value of the function at x equal to pi. Therefore, fx is continuous at x equal to pi. I hope that's clear, students. Moving on to question number 21. There we have to prove that the sum of two functions is continuous. For this, we have already done some algebra, that is gx, sum of gx and hx is, if g and h are two functions which are continuous, then the sum will also be continuous. So let's prove separately that sine and cos are continuous function. So let's prove it at x is equal to c, right? Where c is any real number. Okay, so we'll be proving at this point at x is equal to c whether sin x and cos x, they are continuous or not, right? So let's prove it for sin x. Let me take sin x as gx here, right? And cos x as hx, right? So we have the left hand limit, limit x tends to c negative, gx. So this is limit x tends to c negative sin x, limit, let's take x equal to c minus h, right? So I take, because it's the left hand limit, so I'll be taking it, the values that are just less than x. So I take x, I substitute x with c minus h, right? Because for trigonometric functions, we've already done an identity for limits where the limit is tending towards 0. So in other words, I have to make the limit to be tending towards 0, right? So if x is approaching towards c, h will approach towards 0. So we have sine of c minus h, right? And if I put sine of c minus h over here as 0, what do I get? I get sine c, right? Likewise, I can prove it for the right hand limit. Limit x tends to c positive gx, that is limit x tends to c positive. I'll be substituting now x with c plus h because I'm talking about values that are greater than c. So I have limit as x tends towards c, h will tend towards 0. So this is sine of c plus h. Putting h 0, what do I get? Sine c. So what do I state? That LHL and RHL, they are equal. Therefore, gx is continuous for all real numbers. Likewise, I can prove it for cos x, that is left hand limit. Limit x tends to c negative. Same way, the function is hx now. Limit x tends to c negative, cos of x. Taking x as c minus h, so limit h tends to 0. We have cos of c minus h. Putting h 0, I get this function as cos of c. My right hand limit would be limit x tends to c positive, cos x. Taking x as c plus h, so limit h tends towards 0, cos of c plus h. Putting h 0, I get this as cos c. So LHL and RHL are the same, right? So hx is continuous, right? If hx is continuous and gx is also continuous, then the sum will also be continuous. Therefore, fx is equal to gx plus hx. Therefore, fx is also continuous. Right? This is how we prove the continuity. Likewise, sin x minus cos x. This is also one of the identities of the algebra of trigonometric functions. Continuity of trigonometric functions. Again, sin x and cos x are continuous. Therefore, their difference will also be continuous. Likewise, their product will also be continuous and their division will also be continuous. I hope it's clear. Right. In the next question, we need to prove the continuity of cosine, cosecant, secant and cotangent functions. Right. So it's very simple, simple enough. We have question number 22. That is cos x. We need to prove it continuous. Again, the same procedure as in question number 21 that we followed. We'll be proving it for any point c such that c is a real number. So for any real number we'll be proving. So that follows for all the other real numbers. So we can prove it for cos x. Likewise, we'll be proving it for cosecant x. Right? How do we prove it for cosecant x? Cosecant x is 1 upon sin x, right? We have proved previously that sin x is continuous, right? Therefore, cosecant x must also be continuous. But remember, 1 upon sin x, here sin x must not be equal to 0 or x must not be equal to n pi, where n is an integer. right? So sin x is continuous. Therefore, 1 upon sin x will also be continuous. Okay. But remember, sin x should not be equal to 0. Otherwise, this entire function would be undefined. Therefore, x must not be equal to n pi. Right? Therefore, if we have to prove it for secant x, remember, I have to prove it for cos x first. Since cos x is continuous, right? Cos x is continuous. Secant x will also be continuous. But the condition is that cos x must not be equal to 0 or x must not be an even multiplier of pi by 2. You need to remember this, the principal values that we had done in case of trigonometric functions last year. And then we prove it for cotangent function, that is cot x. Remember, cot x is cos x upon sin x. If sin x and cos x, they both are continuous, then cot x will also be continuous. But here the condition would be that sin x must not be equal to 0 or x must not be equal to n pi, where n is an integer value. Right? So these conditions need to be mentioned. Although we'll be proving separately that cosecant x is reciprocal of sin x. So since sin x is continuous, cosecant x will also be continuous. But sin x should not be equal to 0. And where can sin x be equal to 0 at n pi? So x must not be equal to n pi. Likewise for secant x and likewise for cotangent x. So this is question number 22. Let's discuss question number 23. Find all the points of discontinuity of f. Let's do it for question number 23. That is, we need to find out the points of discontinuity of f where fx is equal to sin x upon x, x is less than 0, and x plus 1 for x greater than equal to 0. Again, simply, let's start with the left hand limit. Limit x tends to 0 negative, function fx. Limit x tends to 0 negative, function is sin x upon x, right? We have already done this identity. When x is tending towards 0 and the function is sin x upon x, the value of this particular limit would be equal to 1, right? Likewise, the right hand limit. Limit x tends to 0 positive, fx, and this is, the function here would be for values greater than 0, it's x plus 1. This is equal to 1. And value of the function at x is equal to 0 is again 0 plus 1, which is equal to 1. Therefore, left hand limit is equal to right hand limit is equal to value of the function at x is equal to 0. Therefore, fx is continuous at x is equal to 0. I hope that's clear. Okay. So find all the points of discontinuity. So the function is continuous at x is equal to 0. Therefore, no point of discontinuity. Okay. No point of discontinuity.